Hey guys, Buckeye Bunny, the wannabe gamer mom here. If you have small hands or you are old like I am and you are looking for a comfortable controller to use when gaming on PC, then this is the video for you. And before you ask, I'm not going to do a face reveal until this channel has enough subscribers to actually make money. So you're just going to have to wait and make sure to subscribe. We're going to be looking at the SteelSeries Stratus Duo, the Xbox Elite V2 controller, and also the Razer Wolverine Ultimate. If you just want my quick and dirty recommendation without watching the video, my favorite controller for PC is the SteelSeries Stratus Duo. Runner-up would be the Xbox Elite V2, and I don't like the Razer Wolverine Ultimate. This is going to be returned. I've also tried a SCUF controller and didn't feel comfortable with the paddle placement on those. The Xbox Elite V2, Razer Wolverine, and SteelSeries Stratus Duo are all great controllers, but they certainly have pros and cons, especially when you are someone with small hands or don't want a complicated controller with a steep learning curve. Some quick price comparison: the Elite V2 is right around $200 currently, SteelSeries $40 to $50, the Razer Wolverine Ultimate right around the $140 range. So there is a big price difference between the $40-ish one and right around $200. Let's take a quick look at what you get with each controller. And no, none of them comes with the cute cat. He's sold separately. Starting with the Xbox Elite V2, this one is made for Xbox, but it can also be used on Windows 10 PCs. It does come with this really nice case. There are extra thumbsy. I just used the default ones because with small hands, I find that some of these are just too big and I really don't see the need to change them. You can also remove the D-pad, which is nice, but I like this little disc-shaped one. See, comes off really easy. The charger is really nice. It has a USB cable, so you can just charge it with the cable on your computer, or you can use this nifty little cradle and charge it like that. You can also put it in the case and feed the cable through the back and charge it in the case. So it's a really nice case, but this controller will set you back around $200, maybe slightly less. The next most expensive is the Razer Wolverine Ultimate. It comes with a nice carrying case, very similar to what you get with the Elite V2. It also has some additional thumbsticks that are magnetic and a D-pad. I found it most comfortable with the default sticks. Now, the included cable is micro USB on one end, but then it detaches right here, and I'm guessing this is what you would use to connect it to an Xbox. That's one issue with this controller. It is not a wireless controller, first of all, so you always have to have it plugged in. And if something happens to this cable, you might be thinking, hey, I'll just get another USB to micro USB cable. Wrong, it doesn't fit. I tried it. It's because of this proprietary connection and the cable. I don't think it's possible. I might be wrong, but you would probably have to get a replacement from Razer. But it is a nice braided cable. They did give us that. Now to the SteelSeries. This is the most economical. So this is wireless Bluetooth. You can charge it and play at the same time, or you can use this handy connector and play via Bluetooth. It also can connect to Android devices. The SteelSeries does not come with a case. You get the controller, the Bluetooth connector, and the charging cable. No case, but you can find inexpensive cases that would work for it. I think we got this one on Amazon, maybe around $10 or so. And yes, I have a second SteelSeries controller. That tells you how much I like it. Let's take a closer look at how each of these controllers feels in my hands. I would consider my hands to be relatively small. I got short little sausage fingers. Here's the Elite V2 controller. So you have the thumbstick placement bottom right and top left. This isn't uncomfortable, but I really prefer to have the thumbsticks both down here on the bottom. You've got the D-pad on the bottom. Buttons have a decent feel to them. Now on my first controller, the problem was my A button would stick now and then, and I tried everything. I tried alcohol, cleaning it with a toothpick and an alcohol wipe, and nothing helped. I still had issues with it sticking. So movable, I'm not really sure why, because they don't give you an extra set, but if they were to break, they're removable. You have trigger stops on the back, which that's kind of a nice feature. So this is with the trigger stop not being on at all, and that's with it on. So it would activate with just a little press compared to this one where I have to press it all the way down. So the trigger stops are definitely a nice feature for faster activation. On this controller, the paddles are on the back, but on the sides where you would naturally, at least for me, I would hold the controller like this, and the paddle placement right here, that is very natural for me. When I tried the Scuff controller, the paddles were perpendicular to the base of the controller here, and having to put my fingers there, it was very unnatural. I didn't find it comfortable. This is not a light controller. It is wireless, so you have the heft of the battery in there, but it just seems really well balanced. A lot of the weight seems to be distributed down near the handles, and so it doesn't feel like it wants to tip off my hands. It's just overall a very comfortable controller, which you would expect for spending around $200, right? The SteelSeries Stratus Duo is another wireless controller that you can also play wired if you need to charge it. We have the triggers, the bumpers. There are no paddles on the back, so that does make you have to use the face buttons, the A, B, and the X and the Y. No paddles back here. You've got the thumbstick placement down at the bottom left and the bottom right, which I find to be the most comfortable compared to this orientation, like the Elite V2 and the Wolverine. So it's just really comfortable. There are no trigger stops or anything fancy on it, so it's kind of a no frills controller, which is what you would expect probably at this price point. But it's very comfortable. You can't interchange the thumbsticks, so there is not a lot of versatility in it. It's just a basic controller that you can use on Android or PC. It's got a switch here to turn it on, battery switch, Bluetooth connection, and then you can change the frequency if you're going to be using it on Android. It's about the same size as the Xbox Elite V2. It feels lighter. It is not grippy on the handles, but I haven't found that to be an issue, and I'm usually pretty picky about the grippiness of a controller. The thumbsticks on here are very grippy, very rubbery. I have not had any problem with it. The Razer Wolverine Ultimate. This controller has tons of buttons. Oh my goodness, it's easy to get overwhelmed with it. And I try to be patient and learn about it and get used to it, but what I didn't like didn't have to do with the weight of the controller. It's about the same as the other ones. The balance isn't as nice as the Elite V2. But the problem I found were the paddles, the placement of the paddles. My fingers naturally, to hold this controller, this is where my fingers naturally go. My pinky, my middle finger, my ring finger. To hold it like this, to hit the paddles, I'm left to hold the controller down here and balance it with my pinkies. It feels awkward. I really tried to get used to it. If I hold it up top, more up top, so that I can also get the M1 and M2 buttons and the back, then my hands are way up here on the controller, and it just is not very comfortable for me. I find my pinkies trying to balance the controller and grip onto it, but it's really hard for them to curve down when my other ones are back here holding this. So it just was not as comfortable for me. And trying to figure out how to map all of these buttons to what I wanted them to be, it was more difficult than I thought due to the software, as you'll see here in a minute. And there are some limitations on what you can map them to. But I will say, out of all three of these controllers, the Razer Wolverine Ultimate does have the nicest button clicks. It does sound like a mouse. Let's take a quick look at how each controller connects to your PC and also the interface. We'll start with the Razer... I forgot what it was called. We'll start with the Razer Wolverine Ultimate. I have the proprietary micro USB to USB cable connected. Go to the Microsoft Store and you can download the Razer controller for PC app. So it's not through Synapse, but on this screen for the Razer Wolverine Ultimate, you can remap your M1 through M6 buttons. So those are your paddles on the back and then these two on the top. I will add that sometimes when I plug the controller in, this doesn't work, it doesn't want to connect, and I end up having to completely restart my PC. So it's a bit glitchy and clunky. If you don't mind playing connected with a heavy cable, then maybe this is the controller for you to try out. Pretty comfortable in the hand unless you want to use the paddles, like I said before. I'm not going to do any gameplay on this simply because it's going to be returned and I'm trying not to use it, and I really don't want to use it. With the Elite V2 controller, first you're going to want to connect it to your PC with the USB cable because you need to update it, and download from the Microsoft Store the Xbox Accessories app. If there is an update available for your controller, you will see that here and you'll be able to update it. Apparently this one is already updated. I don't know why it's acting wonky. What the heck? See, this is why I hate the software that goes with these things. It's a love-hate relationship. Well, trust me, in here you can customize and map what these back paddles do. So I had to restart my computer after installing the Xbox Accessories app and updating this controller. But finally, I was able to pair my Xbox Elite V2 controller via Bluetooth with my PC. I had it working with my other computer, but I just had to set up the controller on this computer. So that is good to go. I have heard quite a few reports about these controllers dropping their Bluetooth connections, so that is also something to consider. Finally, we have the SteelSeries Stratus Duo controller with its little teeny tiny Bluetooth adapter. I'm going to plug that into my computer, just right into the keyboard pass-through. This has a nice handy on switch. Here we go. So we still have the Xbox Elite wireless controller showing there from before, even though it's not turned on. And then we have the SteelSeries Stratus Duo. Now let's take a look at a bit of gameplay. Keep in mind, I am not very good. I like to use this controller for Rocket League, and that is a game I have through Epic Games here. I tried to use it for Fortnite. I was hoping it would make me less of a bot, but I found it such a steep learning curve to aim and shoot on the controller, as well as I lost the ability to reset my edits with my mouse, which I do in Fortnite, and it's just so much easier with keyboard and mouse. So I'm gonna still keep trying now and then controller for Fortnite, but I really like it for games like Rocket League. I don't play a lot of other games, so I don't really know what other games might be really applicable to the controller. Racing games for sure. In Rocket League, I haven't found the need for the paddles on the back. Just like the Elite controller with the SteelSeries, you can use the cable and play it while charging. I found this battery lasts quite a long time, and you can press this little battery button on the back. It shows I have full battery because I did just charge this. For connectivity and reliability of the connection, I have to give it to the SteelSeries Stratus Duo controller. I've never had problems with it disconnecting. The only issue I've ever had with it is when my son and I have tried to use both of our SteelSeries Stratus Duos. It was picking up his and trying to make him play on my computer. So that was a little bit of an issue, but if you don't have anyone else playing with it around you, then I don't think it's anything to worry about. Sweet. To sum it all up, my top pick is the SteelSeries Stratus Duo controller. Relatively inexpensive. For me, it's worked pretty much flawlessly, easy to use. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles of the Elite V2 controller, so if you have the money and you want to spend around $200 on a controller, the Elite V2 is my next choice, especially if you're looking for a controller that has paddles on the back. Even though the Razer Wolverine Ultimate is not one of my pick controllers, if you can get your hands on it, that would be the best suggestion, is feel it, and maybe you really like it. The buttons have nice clickiness to it. The software interface is extremely clunky, and it just, for the lack of ergonomic comfort and the price and the confusion of all the different buttons, it's not my favorite controller, but might be worth trying. If you found this video helpful, please hit that thumbs up. If you didn't like it, don't hit anything, and make sure to subscribe so that one day you might be able to see my ugly face. Or maybe don't subscribe and then I won't reveal my face. Thanks for watching.